Airports and GMR Power today. Shiv Sehgal, President and Head at Nuvama, is now with us on the show. Shiv, afternoon, and thanks for joining in. This is Rima here. While the Indian markets may be in an uptrend over the medium term, long term, but just looking at the near term, are you getting a sense that we are a bit overbought? And would you position your portfolio?
Hi, Rima. Thanks for inviting me, by the way. So I think, before I answer that question, let's have a look at what's happened in the last couple of weeks, right? Which is October end, we were looking at 10-year Fed yields at almost at 5%. And, Nifty was hovering around 18,800. Since then, if you look at November, mostly all markets have had a phenomenal rally, and that's on the back of the financial conditions easing off. The yields in the US came back from almost 5% to 4.2% as we speak today. And then, of course, what's transpiring now is that we're going to go into a lean period into the next sessions going into December before year end. I think your question is very valid. I think that some consolidation is on the cards, and I think bulk of the large bulge bracket institutions will probably take December and season holidays as well. So you're going to go into a lean period where I don't think much activity will start happening from next Monday onwards. Of course, for the rest of the week, we have the Fed and the ECB, which will be very key important data points and what they say. But at the moment, I do feel that, we are going into a lean period. But even having said that, I think from an India perspective, we have historically seen that domestic flows are so strong, we could still see a ramp up going into year-end rally as well.
Hi, Shiv. Good afternoon. Nigel on this side. But what would your preference be, Shiv? If I pull up a year-to-date chart of the Nifty and say the small cap index or even the mid cap index, the Nifty is ranked third, in comparison to both these two. And it's a far third. There's a considerable distance between the two. From here on, if you're putting extra money from here on, where would the allocation be? Would it be more towards the large cap names, or do you think there's still plenty of value in the mid caps?
So, Nigel, I think that's one of the predominant questions being asked by almost everyone, given the rally that we have seen in the mid cap and the small cap space. There is no doubt that the Nifty and large caps have lagged. But in any equity bull market, especially in a country like India, EM like India, that was bound to be. And we also came off a very low base from 2018 to 2022. I think the mid caps had been, probably been out of favor. There was a massive rotation back into that space. And at the moment, it feels that it's a bit euphoric. But having said that, we are still finding, at Nuvama, a lot of jewels with the right strategies, the right management, unloved jewels out there. And, what has happened is, which we must realize is that, relative normalcy has come back post the COVID era distortions, right? And, I think those distortions are finally wrung out. And while the pace of the process globally may have been not proceeding as quickly, in India, we have seen a massive normalcy come back with a bang, right? And I think that's also helping corporate profitability across sectors. And, that is reflecting back into flows and momentum. And, I don't feel that you will probably see the entire index in the small and mid cap space continue to rally with the pace that we have just seen. But there are certain alpha stocks that will continue to do well because the equity bull market in India remains intact. I definitely feel some rotation back into the large caps is warranted, because what happens is, just recently in the last 2-3 weeks, we've seen the foreign flows come back and turn positive. I think between now and into financial year India, I think the foreign flows will remain very, very robust. And I do feel that a bulk of that, by natural inclination, they will gravitate towards the large caps because they can put, large sizes to work there.
Just want to once again highlight what's happening with GMR Airports, GMR Infra basically. It's a massive move, 8%. I think we highlighted that 0.5% block changed hands earlier. And of course, on last Friday, there was that large block where, a lot of large investors, including GQG, as we had reported, came in. But look at that. It's a massive move, 77.5 on GMR Airports. Look at Indigo as well. It's the aviation, the basic underlying thesis, apart from all the technical stuff, is, of course, the fact that aviation as a market is booming and there are very few ways to play it. Interglobe is one, but airports is another. So you're not betting on A or B airline, you're just betting on the passengers showing up. And, well, that's been absolutely, phenomenal numbers there. Shiv, hi, good afternoon. I was looking at this report from Nuvama, Emerging Ideas Conference, which, the report came out, I think, the 9th of December. And there are two lists here. One is, larger companies, and the other one is, the smaller companies. The smaller companies is what really caught my eye. Lots of names here. Beta Drugs, Brand Concepts, Creative Graphic Solution. I think many of these are in the SME category as well, if I'm not mistaken. Just talk about this segment and what kind of ideas. I mean, this is very, very stock specific, obviously. You can't make a generalized comment. But just talk to us about this.
No, Prashant, well noted, well highlighted. And I think, as I was telling Nigel, there is no doubt that, India is a very large economy. There are so many I would say jewels out there that the market has not been privy to. And a lot of these companies are in the mid and small cap space, right? I mean, they have not been marketed. Nobody knows where they exist, but they're still putting up phenomenal numbers. Our idea at Nuvama is to go and find them, put it out, to the investing public, and talk about, some of the good stuff that's happening. Not in the predominant Nifty 50 names, but not even in the NSE 100. But, in the bottom of the periphery where we feel a lot of action is happening, and they're coming at such a low base that incremental order wins, incremental flow that they are seeing can have a massive impact on the bottom line, because they are also having a massive operating leverage, right? And as and when they find momentum within that space, there is a little bit of, I would say, a FOMO in the SME and the mid and small cap space at the moment, because, that space has been rallying for almost 9 months. But having said that, you're absolutely right. There is a lot of demand coming from real institutional family offices, HNIs, institutions as well within that space, who are finding that, every large cap in some of the large caps today are all, in the mid cap space, and they're multi-baggers, and they've done so well with their management and corporate governance that the next leg that will become the multi-baggers over the next 5-10 years, as we talk about the India structural bull story, I think, that's where the space you will find, a lot of interest, because people want to find the next, the Tata Technologies or the next Nuvama for that matter. We have become a listed company as well. And, I think that space is growing, and we are a large economy. We are seeing so many IPOs coming in. We have not even talked about the fact that you've seen, an average IPO was up 50-60% over the last 10 days. Right, and there's a lot of flow of momentum coming, a lot of blocks happening. It's a function of both things, both domestic money that we have constantly been talking about, SIP flow, but also the foreign flow that has started to emerge, come back into India. And if, the Fed talks about cutting rates, which is definitely on the cards, and there's a high probability, I think EMs in particular will do well, and India stands out in that region. 93% of FPI flow into the Asia emerging markets has been in India this year. We have got 16.5 billion. You guys have talked about it as well. And that's a reflection of what's happening on the ground across the country, right? And I've been structurally bullish. I've been talked about that in the past as well. And I remain very constructive going into the new year as well.
Just to get the number right, 93% of the Asia ex-Japan FPI flows have come to India this year?
Yes, that's correct. Okay. So India and Korea are the two positives, and India has seen 16.5 billion.
Got it. Thank you very much for joining in.
Shiv, thanks very much. By the way, the Nuvama stock is also up 7-8% as we speak. So as you said, you're listed now. Thanks very much for joining us, and good to speak with you. By the way, the Nifty is turned green. That's another, just FYI, we're up about 4 points or.
Thank you for watching CNBC TV18. For all our top stories and news updates, follow us on our social media platforms.